Hey, everybody. Welcome, welcome. It's Sunday. 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 Sorry, I'm trying to think of the date. It's the 16th of March. And my name is Teri Hunter. Welcome to my live weekly. It is 11 a.m. about Pacific time. And what we're going to do today is we're going to look at the transits for the week ahead. And then we're going to do a tarot spread for each one of the signs. This broadcast is focused on whole sign Western astrology. So when I'm referring to a sign, I'm referring to the rising sign. If you don't know your rising sign, you'll want to go to any one of the free birth calculators on the internet. You just need your exact time and location in order to determine your rising. And personally, as an intuitive astrologer, I have repeatedly been shown by Spirit that the moon is really the most significant energy in manifesting in creating the life that you want. So pay attention to your moon sign. We have some big things going on. I'm kind of stalling a little bit to let people get into the room before I start to. Hello, CW. Great to see you. Thanks for being here. I have to tell you, this Neptune, Saturn, as they're coming together, and we have Venus and Mercury retrograding this week in the last first. Let me speak clearly. In the last degrees of Aries, and at the end of the month, we're going to experience. First, Venus is going to move back into into Pisces. Then we're going to have a solar eclipse, and then Mercury is going to move into Pisces. So this is a really interesting time to sort of pay attention to things that feel historic, repetitive, old business. Saturn, old business. Neptune, old business, meaning soul old business. The habits that inadvertently trip you up, the things that you're not conscious of. Pisces rules the unconscious. It's known as the house of self-troubles. And we have the North Node very much wanting to engage a spiritual path through this particular historic landscape. Okay, well, it's nice to see people in the room. Good morning, Margie. Good morning, Gita. Good morning, Catherine. Good morning, Stephen. Oh, my goodness. Silly me, you were right up there. Okay, I want to talk about a little something that I have found very interesting. Because a lot, if you guys have listened to me for a while, I really am kind of a psychological astrologer. I feel like everything that the planets represent, it addresses a point of attraction, and what we feel emotionally is what we talk about and what we think about, which is why I think the moon is so important. So here we are, and we've got Mercury retrograding, okay? And well, Mercury just started its retrograde, but it's going to move back into Pisces. Venus is there too. But I started listening to something called the telepathy tapes. I don't know if you guys have heard of it. It is, I think the gal's name is, oh my goodness, I get so into the material. It's a 3-letter name like Kieran or something, but she's here on YouTube. I hope you'll check it out. Yes, I agree, Stephen. I bring up this telepathy tapes because I was listening to it while I was beautifying my. Oh, I love that book. I've actually heard Dan Millman speak in person. Okay. The telepathy tapes is very interesting because it's focusing in on nonverbal autistic children, and actually how these children have much intelligence underneath the hood. And it's about obviously telepathy and how we communicate through our minds, and how there's no real need in the galactic universe for man's, verbal communication. Now, this is a series. It's again focused on nonverbal autistic, but it really is universal for all of us. So I would suggest you guys check it out. And I say that because as Venus and Mercury, Venus ruling, let's just say your self-worth. It rules your partnerships. It rules your money. It rules your beauty. And believe me, my beauty feels like it's feeling like I'm taking a reverse there, but I digress. All these planets moving forward, good morning, small wildflowers, moving backwards are giving us an opportunity to look at what do we really value, Venus. What do we focus on with our minds? What do we think about? People think that worry is something that's necessary, but worry is a form of prayer that kicks in the law of attraction to the very thing you don't want to experience. So this week, as Venus and Mercury are moving into those pivotal degrees of Aries, which are, the fifth all the way through the 0 degree, we're heading back to the world axis. That's what I'm trying to get at. And as each of these planets retrogrades over the world axis, the point of the highest and most powerful point of creation, 0 degrees of Aries. It's where the soul comes into the physical. So now we have Neptune hovering at 29 degrees, about to enter this axis at the end of the month. And Venus and Mercury are about to become conjunct as they retrograde past Neptune. This is so important because it is going to bring up, where has there been erosion? Where have I deluded myself? Where has my compassion inadvertently made people step all over me or ignore my particular wants and needs? We also have Uranus finally moved a degree. I mean, Venus has been stuck at 23 degrees of Taurus for months now, since way back in December. And for those of us that have, aspects to that, it's been a little jarring, we'll say. But I'm glad to see that's finally starting to get a little traction. We have Saturn really getting close to, it's now at 23 degrees of Pisces. So Saturn's been in the house of Pisces, sort of like in the other room. Let's say most of the planets were in the living room. Saturn was over there in the kitchen cooking. I know we don't think of Saturn as the cook, but you get my drift. And now Saturn's starting to join the party. And when Saturn comes in, Saturn is once again sort of demanding we look at, will we repeat history? Will we allow anger, frustration, a communication to be constructive, or will it be destructive? Will we repeat the same things that we do historically? The house of Pisces is the house that sort of houses your personal Akashic records, the 12th house. So when you're an Aries rising, like I am, Pisces is holding my Akashic records. And that's my personal opinion. I don't know if anyone else says that, but that's how I think of it. Because again, that's the house of the self-undoing, where my habits trip me up. And the habit of an Aries is potential anger, resentment, frustration, being blunt and harsh, and not communicating in a way that opens space. So these are all coming up. And by the way, Mars is finally moving forward in Cancer as well. So it's an interesting time, because as the outer planets are about to really change their vibration, okay, they're going to change their song. And Neptune especially is going to go from being at home to jumping into the fire where I cannot hide. I cannot be invisible. I cannot be a drop in the ocean. Now Neptune is calling forth that individuality that makes you take a picture of that particular wave. When surfers are sitting out in the ocean and a set comes in, they don't jump on every wave. They look to see which one's going to be the best to serve their experience. And that's what Neptune's going to start to challenge you with. And when I was listening to the tapes this morning, the telepathy tapes, again, I want to repeat that because it's fascinating to listen to this. It's nice podcast. You don't have to watch it. You can be doing other things. But, I'm always harping on that your thoughts are things, your mind is, and its focus is creating and drawing in your experiences. And this is supporting this series is supporting that and then expanding upon it. Because as I've said, one of the other things is, as Neptune moves into Aries, we are going to not only want to address ourselves and see ourselves as spiritual beings, and each one of us being a personal, peaceful warrior for our own pioneering, experience, what we want. We're also joining the galactic community. We're also about to encounter life's in ways that we, aren't used to, in ways that are superior to us in many. So there you go. I'm just going to say that. And now I'm going to go on to the readings for the day. Happy birthday to my Pisces. I want to invite you all to come on Wednesday. It's Lucky's birthday on Wednesday. I know you guys have heard a lot about Lucky's birthdays over the years because you've watched him have his birthdays. And happy birthday to Stephen. I believe your birthday was the 14th, was it? I don't know if I'm mixing you up with my friend Kirk, but in any case, so join me Wednesday at 4, the 2nd. Happy birthday. On Wednesday, I'm not going to do 2 hours anymore of the live tarot. It's really very, it's a lot, but I'm going to do an hour. Maybe I'll do an hour and a half, but I think it'll be better if I make it a little bit shorter. So I hope you'll join me at 4 o'clock on Wednesday, and we'll see how long we go. But in general, I'm going to shorten that one up. So hopefully you guys can come and join and get your personal question answered by Spirit. And it will be Lucky's birthday. Yes. He's so good. Okay, so speaking of Lucky, we're going to do Pisces. Happy birthday to all my Pisces you have a very pivotal solar return, everybody. I mean, really looking at your charts, looking at your planetary activity, and what's coming up for you, because, Mercury and Venus are never more than 2 signs away from the sun. So we can infer when we talk about somebody who's a Pisces rising that you're having some sort of potential Venus return, Mercury return in the midst of all this retrograde. So you have your own personal additional potential layer of stuff that's happening. And if Venus and Mercury are involved in not only in transit, but hitting you natally, then this is really going to focus on your self-worth, using your skills, using your gifts and your talents, allowing them to broaden. One of the things that we forget about, we talk about Jupiter as the co-ruler of Pisces as a footnote. But truthfully, Jupiter ruled that dominion for a long time before we knew Neptune existed. So this is about foreign travel. And this foreign travel is transcending your human speech, transcending your human, what you can see, Most people base their expectations and what they think is possible by what they can see with their eyes. And this is where we are so small and compared to our galactic friends, that we don't know yet out there, watching over us, waiting for us to catch up a little bit. It's also why a lot of us incarnated to help us catch up. Thanks, everybody, for wishing Lucky a happy birthday. My little pugilicious dog that no matter what I do, his Jupiter is just making him a little fat. All right, let's see what Spirit has to say. I'm using the Star Tarot for our birthday people, our birthday Pisces. Now, the other thing that's of great note, is this Virgo opposition, right, with the South Node. And I want to say, yes, it's a point of erosion. Yes, it's in your 7th house. But at the same time, this is really, will you be egoless to your mind? Meaning, will you be egoless to the old story, and whether it's right or wrong doesn't matter? Will you start to tell the new story? And the first position is the 6 of Wands, which is victory. Happy birthday, victory. We love that. In the opportunity or the obstacle is the High Priestess, connecting with your intuitiveness. And you're very intuitive. And I want to say this because, yes, a lot of people give Pisces a lot of credit for their intuitiveness, but their compassion sometimes and their empathy can mask that intuitiveness. And that's why Scorpio, for me, is the most intuitive sign, because it lacks that human compassion sometimes and really gets to the bottom line. We're on Pisces. Yeah. And there's balance. Okay. Your victory comes through balance, especially this week, this whole period of time, this whole beginning, first half of 2025, I think is specifically important for mutable signs and, the ones that are squaring, the ones that are opposing, and then obviously the conjunction with Pisces, because your victory comes from continuing to reach for the stars. And this is not like pie in the sky, oh, I want to be famous. This is literally reaching, talking to your guides and your angels, doing daily prayer work, treating them like you would treat a coach or somebody who was supporting you to achieve a goal, because we have the high priestess in the opportunity or the obstacle. So there's that connecting with spirit. And here's the tenacity and the Leo energy of taming your kundalini fears through your connection to spirit. And this all happens through balance, temperance, and really allowing for flow. Now, the other thing that I think is interesting is when I see temperance, I think of Jupiter. And I just mentioned that Jupiter was the co-ruler of your first house. And this is traveling. Your victory comes through traveling and becoming a spiritual warrior. Now, this is what a spiritual warrior knows. It knows to bow down to its sacred, most bottom line dynamic, which is love. So in that love, I get an opportunity to identify where my ego is communicating versus my love is communicating. And the ego is not only edging God out, but my new acronym is exciting God opportunities. And that's to feel your divinity through your awareness and making choices that may feel uncomfortable, but once implemented, start to create the balance and the beauty that we see in this card. Look at the wings. Look at all the color, the rainbows. I see that as the rainbow after the storm. All right, let's go on to our fabulous and wonderful Aries. My south node is at 3 degrees of Aries in the 12th house. I like to look at my personal chart and anybody I work with in Placidus, because that first house, I'm telling you, when you've put it in whole sign, it kind of screws you over. I'm going to be honest. I do whole sign for large groups because it's easier. But if you know your chart, because I'm a 26 degree Aries rising. If you're 26, that makes my first full house is almost Taurus. And I have even some Gemini in there. So it's important to look at that, because this makes me a combination of Aries Ram, Taurus Bull, and then I use my voice, my Gemini, my speech is how I roll. So you'll learn a lot about yourself when you look at these little random weird things. Okay. And the south node, what I wanted to bring up now is as my south node is getting activated by the retrograde of Venus and Mercury, and then, Neptune starting to hover over it, I recognize that this is a big time for me to sit in awareness. Like, how will I process this? Because most astrologers will just tell you the dark side. Oh, here comes Saturn. You're about to get screwed. Here comes Neptune. See you later. You're going to go crazy. You're going to lose everything. You're just you're delusional. And none of that plays to the reward that Saturn promises. Not just in Saturn rules the 10th house and the 11th house. The 10th house is people seeing you rewarded over time. And the 11th house rules your hopes and dreams. So this is so important to literally stay the course. And when history starts to reveal its repetition, you have an opportunity to make a new choice. All right, Aries, rising moon, sun, and stripes. Here comes Lucy. Lucy, you done it now. Here's Lucy. There's this one commercial for some channel on my dish where it goes back to all the old shows from the 60s, like My Three Sons and My Favorite Martian. And I don't know, I literally get a little weepy whenever I see the commercial as it goes through, like these weird old cowboy shows you never see anymore. All right, Aries, I am paying attention. Your first angel, or your first card, in the foundational position is the Page of Wands. In the opportunity, the obstacle is the Ace of Pentacles, something coming into the material. The Hanged Man is inverted, which means the pause is over. And then the World is coming. Interesting. Okay. Now, the minute I saw the World and it is inverted, there's still work to be done. Now, this is about keeping your eye on the prize of what you want and your passions, but also your fire. The Page of Wands is this messenger of fire, this messenger of and when I say fire, I don't mean destructive. Sometimes it's the fire that you sit by that warms you as you're eating your s'mores. And that's what this page is offering you. Aries, which direction will you go when you implement yourself? Because you have an opportunity to start something new. But part of it is really like not playing to the old story of the disruption that the Hanged Man represents in the background. The background is, with the waves crashing and him sort of in this challenging position upside down. Now this is inverted, but so is the World card. So there's still work to be done to extract the reward, but part of this is the patience required that Aries despises. Aries absolutely hates patience. Aries wants instant gratification, wants to know, right, am I winning or am I losing? What do I need to do to break down the walls? Well, this is part of your whole journey, is to become the peaceful warrior that doesn't have to ask the question, but knows the answer intuitively and does not need to be fearful of the earth constraints of time. This is a fabulous and very wild card in some ways, because this is where Saturn shows up with the reward. But the only way you'll really get Saturn's reward is to extract the wisdom from it. Because if Saturn shuts something down or delays something, it doesn't mean it's not happening. It means it could be happening better than you thought it was going to happen. All right. Onward and upward, as we like to say. He is such an amazing little doggy. I got to tell you, this little dog, the day he bit me was the best day ever. And I never would have really known it in the moment because my ego was so checked. But that day, he snapped me out of my slumber of disempowerment. He snapped me out of the idea that when I love something, I'm going to lose it, or it's going to die, or it's going to disappear. I got so annoyed as the blood dripped down my finger that I stepped into my leadership, and now my dog loves to be hugged. My dog loves to sleep on the bed with me. My dog loves to hang out with me. In fact, now I can't get him away. Like, I'm constantly walking around the house going, I love you so much. You're never in the way. You're never in the way. I love you so much. Move your ass. It's so wonderful how we learn about our energy. And that is something I think I've excelled at throughout this lifetime, is really stepping into, being aware of my, I know he's a Velcro dog now. I mean, not totally Velcro. Thank God he doesn't lick my face or anything like that. I don't like that stuff. But he is super, let me sit next to you and we can snuggle. Now, maybe this will change as things get warmer, because it's been in the 40s here, and maybe I'm delusional and he's just cold and warming up. Who knows? All right, here we go to our Taurus, rising, moon, sun, DJ, and stelliums. Oh my gosh, that is a wonderful sign. Double rainbows. That is awesome. And it's also kind of interesting because you can't see a rainbow without a storm, right? You can't see it without some rain. So, yeah, exactly. Okay. We're going to our Tauruses, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. We have the star in the foundational position. That's wonderful. We have the Wheel of Fortune inverted. We have the Hierophant, Holy Carp. This is so far, three major arcana cards. This is very powerful. And 4 major arcana cards for our Tauruses. All right. So this is what I want to say. There's a lot coming up about history with the conjunctions. I call it a summit. I literally feel like the planets are like, I feel like I'm watching a Star Wars episode, and the Yoda represents a planet and Obi-Wan represents a planet. And then there's, them looking at, evaluating the young generation as to whether they are ready to be trained as Jedi warriors. Are they ready yet? So I digress as I tell myself this movie, because the wonderful, loving, great thing about Taurus, I'm a Taurus moon, is you're super loyal. You like what's dependable. And once you get to know something, it's not like you can't ever shift, but you don't really like to shift. You're like, you like your people, you like your food, you like your home. And if there's been Uranus has been pulling some crap on you in your first house, sort of breaking it up, asking you, how are you paying attention to your life? Because sometimes we like things not because we're conscious of them, they're just familiar and they may not work that great for you. Because here's the star, and this is about vulnerability. So I think something's coming up about history. Now, if we think about the idea of Pisces and Taurus, they sextile each other. So there's something that can be, and Uranus is at 24 degrees. So there's a sextile between Uranus and Saturn right now. That's going to kind of continue throughout the week. And all of this is teeing us up to be able to evaluate and extract the wisdom. The Wheel of Fortune is really, it's up to you if it turns. This was inverted. So to me, there's like, because here's the Hierophant. It's about your belief systems. This is also very Taurian energy. See that bull? And see the connection to the stars? See the star? Now, this is where it's a time for reflection and see where you've been keeping yourself. Will you extract the wisdom that the owl offers? Because that's what this is about. And it might have something to do with the South Node in Virgo and old habits. You know, the South Node in Virgo trines the Taurus energy. It's very familiar and comfortable, but is it familiar and comfortable in a way that keeps me too locked into a box? That's one of the things that people who know me in my real life, they find it very, like, I'm home all the time and I'll wank about it, you know, oh, I never go anywhere. And then people ask me to go somewhere and I'm like, I don't want to go. I'm a real homebody, you know, and I think that's my Taurus first house, really, and my moon being there. So, you know, it's probably one of my little things has been to get out and go have lunch and have things with my friends, you know, do something. So I'm starting to implement that. But I've already had to cancel twice, once because I got that virus. And then the second time I had a leak in the tub. And anyway, so maybe we'll get to lunch next week. But Taurus, you got 4 major arcana cards. This sextile that is happening between your first house and this stellium in Pisces is really giving you an opportunity to just sort of, you don't have to throw the baby out with the bathwater, but really determine how much you are stepping into what you want and if you're willing to be vulnerable, because there is illumination to be had for you that will allow you to experience something rich and secure. Yeah, that's very true. But, you know, I just think even that line of letting go, surrender, it feels a little better to me because it's like to let it go. For some reason, I always kind of like picture flushing a toilet, right? Like it's actually left somewhere and gone away. I don't really think that doesn't work for my Taurus moon. Nothing flushes. So I have to pull wisdom out of it. I have to find a reason why something negative happened and turn it to an advantage for me. Otherwise, it just sits like a ball and chain around my feet, keeping me from moving. That's my Aries, you know. My Aries and my Taurus, not Libra, gets totally drowned out. All right, on to our Geminis, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Jupiter moving through the house. Oh, when Jupiter moves into your second house, man, this is a time to strike while the iron is hot. I'm telling you. And again, look at Placidus, because if you've got a bit of the Cancer in your first house, it's a really great time to discover yourself and expand yourself. And, you know, you won't get to do this again for 12 more years. I love when Jupiter's going through the first house. And frankly, for me, it has been kind of going through the first house because I have a little bit of Gemini in there. And then it's going to go into my second house, which is Gemini and Cancer. As Aries rising, I actually have most of my 7th house is Scorpionic, which makes a lot of sense because my relationships have killed me over and over again. All right, I'm paying attention. Gemini. We have the 5 of Cups. We have the Judgment card upside down. We have the 5 of Wands upside down. And then we have, okay, Gemini, you know, you're experiencing a square. as Venus and Mercury, re-enter Pisces at the end of the month. But as they start to, again, we're in eclipse season as well. Yeah, we're in eclipse season. We just had a full moon, lunar eclipse illuminating something. And the Five of Cups is not an easy energy. It's a sorrow card. It's something that does not feel aligned. And this Judgment card is inverted, so it's not quite as intense as it would be, but it's got a Plutonian energy to it. It's time to really come to some sort of conclusion about what you want. This Five of Wands is a card of competition, and in this particular deck, it looks sort of game, like they're playing a game and everyone has to take their turn. And so for my Geminis, I think it's time, if you've been feeling a little sorrowful or underappreciated, or that things aren't, it's time to start to make the decision to say, it's my turn. That's what I think this means, because the final decision, or the final card, is the Two of Swords, which is very Libra. It's very much about closing your eyes and taking aim at what you want, not whether you can see the possibilities of it. Oh, and does Gemini want to see the possibilities? Your ruling planet is about to go retrograde and it's squaring you. Okay. It's literally triggering that mind that goes, yes, no, possible, not possible, but this, but that, and it's weird because when I go into the Gemini mind, sometimes it really does ping on the negative, quote unquote, but then it pings right back to the positive. And if I could just stick you there like spaghetti against a wall for a minute, it would start to coagulate. But it's not easy when Jupiter is in your first house, expanding all of your ping, 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 ping. So you're going to have to make a decision. I think sometimes when we have a chart that's very challenging, I didn't see squares when you look at my chart, but the real humdinger in my chart is the Pluto conjunctions. Literally, my planetary configuration, most of my planets are all on the right side, right? All on the descendant side. I just have my moon over here and my Chiron. And Pluto has nailed every single one of my planets. I'm 65 years old, and I'm really looking at these days. And so I'm like, oh my God, thank you very much. Because now, at least that's over. So there's partially squares, but right now Pluto is sextiling me. So where is Pluto giving you advantages in your chart? Because when I was feeling the Pluto square in my Mars, most people thought I was going to have a health issue or something. And maybe I did have certain things, but I also gained a lot of wisdom and knowledge and then, of course, corrected. So you're going to have to make a decision, Gemini. And I think it's about putting yourself first, frankly. But who am I to say? I don't know, just the person you come every Sunday to listen to. All right, onward and upward onto our Cancers, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. I bet you're happy to see Mars move, get through my first house already. I'm done feeling the nonsense of, it's not easy for Cancer to be angry, I mean, they can be angry. Don't get me wrong. They're not saints or anything, but it's also like they love you and they want to be mad, but then they feel bad about being mad because they want you to love them back. This is where Aries is a little different. It's like, I don't care if you like me or not. I'm just going to blast you, but not Cancer. They're like, so they have to find a way to express their darker side without feeling like they're not going to be lovable anymore. I don't know why that's coming up. It's just the way I'm rolling. All right, let's see what we got going for our Cancers, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Foundational position is the Eight of Swords. This is where you get in your own way. There's something going on where you're looking at things and you're just seeing the challenges. In the other deck, the Eight of Swords, you see an indigenous woman with her bows and arrows or her satchel with her arrows, and she's looking into a pond and she's just bound up and she cannot see. This is like, there's almost sometimes too many possibilities, too many ways to think. And when you look at this particular sword configuration, there's mostly blue and red handles. So this has a lot to do with fight or flight, security, potentially feeling safe, money, home. And the eagle is saying fly above it. In the opportunity or the obstacle, we have the sun. This is good. Keep your eye on what is growing. Keep your eye on the prize. Then we have the King of Swords inverted. Okay, so that's an Aquarian energy. It's also an energy where, again, we're kind of looking above a situation. We're seeing a bigger picture of something. And then the Emperor. Okay. This is really interesting for my Cancers, because if indeed Mars had been kicking up some dust in your first house and creating arguments or creating people who are being, either you or others are being sort of like, I'm mad at you, I'm not mad at you, I love you, but I hate you, get the out of my face. Sorry, did I say that out loud? Because something's going on and it feels a little bit like, there's a big circle in the middle here, and then the X with the heart. So the swords are pointing at this. Would make me feel like Cancer does somehow is feeling, I want to offer it this way, because when we give too much, it's not a good thing. When we overdo for others, it's not a good, even your kids. I don't care if they're 3, 2, 5. I don't care how old they are. There has to be a balance. It's good for children and other people to see self-care. And this feels like your heart has been attacked. And I feel like it's time for you to get a little cold-hearted and put some fun, do some things for yourself. Pardon my nasty manicure. And then look, here's the Emperor going your own way a little bit. The best thing you can ever teach anybody about yourself is how to love you. And most of us don't even know how to do that because we're not really trained how to do that. If you really think about how we train children, the first thing we train them to do is to acquiesce to our wants and desires. Be a good boy, be a good girl, do this, do that. And then at one point, their little cute cherub faces turn into little preteens, and we stop saying that to them. We start getting annoyed with them. And I feel like you are the child within. Okay. I'm not talking about a child out. I'm talking about the child within, because this is about going your own way a little bit. And it's not going to be that easy, because look at the horses. There's a little bit of challenge, but look at the eagles on the throne. Look at the dragon at his feet. Look at he's tamed things. It's time to be an adventurer and to fly away from the old story. That's another thing. No matter what, we are all going to experience something that takes us back in a circle. Recently my sister has shown up. I haven't seen her physically, but, through, various communications. And now I have put an end. I've closed the circle on that, because I don't want to repeat negative patterns or behaviors. And then I have implemented in the post-Earth dynamic of closing that door. I've now been using Neptune's prayer work to balance it, so we don't have to go and do this again in another lifetime, because I'm done. I'm done. You can go your own way. Go your own way. Sorry, I digress. I don't mind being a goofball anymore. I just don't care. I don't care, I just don't care. So here we are. We're on to our Leos, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. That I think about some things when I, my brain just goes all over the place. And I think about 12th house stelliums, or 12th house Leo, because you can have a late degree Leo rising. That puts you near Regulus potentially, which is huge, which makes your whole first house about service. And if you think about that, that's really significant, because Regulus is a huge fixed star that has a lot of responsibility. It's a landmine, really, because we hear the word royals and you think, ooh, yeah, no, not necessarily. So, and then that 12th house Leo is invisible. So you really, really kind of want to look at what your degrees are. 29th degree North Node is directly on Regulus. I agree, Small. I'm totally don't care about, I like being a goofball. I like being slightly eccentric. I like just being, I don't know. I kind of just think I'm stupid in a funny way. So I don't mind myself. I do think I'm funny. I make myself laugh. All right, Leo, I'm sure you're ready to make yourself laugh. Okay. Ooh, we have the devil card inverted, upside down. We have the Eight of Cups upside down. Okay, Pluto opposition. The Wheel of Fortune is upside down. And the Five of Cups. All right, so not so easy, not so easy, not so easy. All right, the Devil card. I always think of that devil. If you turn that word upside down, it's lived, right? And you're not living. Somehow, Pluto's gonna, this is the thing. Pluto in your seventh house is, yes, there's the partnerships and yes, there's the collaborations, but really it's about your peace of mind. It's about how you harbor and create that seventh house harmony through your individual way of being. And that might be what the focus of the Devil card upside down is. This is a Capricorn energy. It's fear, it's repression, but it's not like it's this way. So it's less. And now, so you could be actually aware of something that's been closing, or a chapter or something that you've become into your awareness. And now, rather than having to walk away, because this is upside down, it's reversed. The Eight of Cups is now giving you an opportunity, rather than walking away, to stand where you are and to walk through an experience something. Because I think if there has been something that has been sorrowful or lost for my Leos, that there is an opportunity for something better to come behind it. And that's reflected in the Page of Pentacles. If you've been experiencing relationships that are clandestine or are not, out in the sun shining, if you are experiencing parts of yourself and your creativity and you've been sitting in fear and you're not feeling a sense of self-made harmony, that's the Aquarius energy in the seventh house. It's really not about somebody else doing that for you or with you. And it's also an air element. And if you're not bringing out or allowing your genius, whatever your personal genius is, it's time to start dreaming again, instead of focusing in on whatever's been a potential loss or challenge. I don't know why, for some reason today, I'm really seeing this Leo energy as not first house. There's a sense of feeling invisible to me. So if you are a Leo rising and you've been feeling like people don't see you, or you think you're speaking so clearly and nobody seems to be hearing you or acknowledging it, then maybe it's just a wee bit of patience for the retrograde. Go, oh, here's that retrograde. Stuff's going to happen. Virgo stellium, honestly, DJ, is really about giving up that perfectionist within yourself. I think a Virgo stellium is about discovering, this is where I think it's a little crazy, okay? So in the natural wheel, you have Leo energy, right? It's the fifth house of fun and romance and personal expression and going to the beach and playing games, all that cool stuff, right? And then you go into the cold depths of Virgo, like they throw you into the workforce. You've left high school fun. You're supposed to be an adult now. That's where Virgo starts, the adulthood, right? And then you don't do the I wants, you do the I shoulds. And a Virgo stellium is hugely I should. I should do this. I should do that. Sometimes we need to think that our own personal happiness is the best service we could to represent for other people. I have harnessed my mind. I know that I'll never tame it. So the harness is that it's going to go this way, it's going to go that way, but it's never going to get away from me. Because when I see myself starting to run amok, I'm like, oh, thank you, Spirit, for helping me rebalance my thoughts. There's so many subtleties to our verbiage that screw us over. You have no idea. Literally, like when you say you want something, you bring the want thereof it. I really want to feel happy. Why don't I feel happy? I really want to feel happy. No, I'm happy. I'm happy with the roller coaster because I'm willing to see the wisdom. I'm happy with the roller coaster because it helps me identify that which I do not want anymore. Oh, I'm changing. I'm going over here for Virgo with the other one. Every night I pray these days lately, and I think this is a transit because I never prayed before. Yes, exactly, small. Every night I say to Spirit, thank you for the flow that I felt today. Thank you for my tribe's peace of mind. I pray for you every night. I said thank you for, I pray for Jeremy too, on the other side. I just don't know why I still have like a big crush on him, even though he's dead. And then, isn't that crazy? And then I pray for my sister's peace, because I don't ever want to have to run into her in this lifetime or another in this dynamic again. I don't want that nonsense. I don't want the competition. Um, and then I pray and I thank God for Lucky every day, and that he's happy and healthy for as long as he is happy and healthy. And all of that to me is lining up the universe to bring all that forward. Okay, Virgo, in the foundational position, the 9 of Pentacles. This is a beautiful card. Look at the bounty, the wisteria. This is, it's truly, you've created something. And now I think that this tiger represents a bit of healthy boundaries for me, knowing that you're protected in what you've created. Okay, Virgo, in the opportunity or the obstacle is the 6 of Wands. You're not seeing your victory, and that could be the South Node going through your first house. As it enters that first house, it's jarring. And then we have Temperance upside down as well. And finally, the Lovers, which is very Geminian. All right, we're in Virgo right now. We're on Virgo rising. This is very much, so your ruling planet as well is moving retrograde, and it's in Aries, and it's going over the world axis as it goes back into Pisces. These next couple of weeks, I know we focus week to week, I think Spirit really wants you to feel a sense of peace. And even though the South Node is traveling through your first house, it's not here to tell you that things are erosive. It's actually offering you victory if you take it. This is inverted. You haven't received the victory yet because you're implementing balance in your thoughts. Okay, this is very Jupiterian. This is very much about what road will you choose. Now, the thing about the Virgo energy, I inferred earlier just a minute ago that you go from the fun house of Leo into the work house of Virgo. But it's the choice of work that determines whether or not you enjoy your service to man. It's your choices of how you want to process something and analyze it, and will you be enslaved to it? Because the Lover's card is inverted, and the Lover's card is choice. So Virgo, you are literally being tasked during this next year and through the transits to be more aware of what comes from your heart, what feels frivolous and fun, and or you're actually trying too hard to implement something fun and you're taking the fun out of it. Get down to the heart of the matter and making choices that bring you peace. Yep. I think it's kind of exciting to be a Virgo right now, to be honest with you, because the opposition of all the planets that are happening for you are in the house of peace and harmony, in the house of collaboration. And inadvertently, Virgo will be like, you're annoying. I want to do it myself. I'll get it done the way I want it done. And you just, no offense to Virgo. I have a Virgo Venus. I have Pluto in Virgo. I like neat things. And I would rather sometimes do them myself than have someone else do it and me have to bite my tongue and then do it later over again, even though they did it. That's where my Libra kind of screws me up, because I'll tell somebody that I like something and then I'll look at it a little more carefully and I don't like it as much as I thought I did. Okay, so that's what you're walking through. Well, the 5 personal planets on that axis is really about extracting that wisdom of the flow of, if you think about Pisces, it's like, it's really, we sit around and we drink and we listen to music. We're not producing, we're not cleaning the house. We're not, Pisces rules ashrams and hotels and spas. Okay. So there's a lot of laying around kind of energy in Pisces. And then that Virgo, do. So it's a marrying of the two, especially when you have a lot of planets in it. All right. Onward and upward. Exactly. And that's a little bit where that becomes a bad habit of nobody can help you because the way that you want it done, you won't let yourself do it. I know. That's why I've learned when there's a handyman or somebody that is like fixing something in my house, or a man, no offense, is fixing anything, I have to leave the room, because if I watch, I start to get too Virgonian in my assessment. All right. On to our Libras, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Yes, exactly. Ta-da! Ta-doo. I know Virgo can be a little dampening, I think, sometimes, because they just won't let themselves have fun sometimes. You know, it's fun to organize. Yes, it is fun to organize, but then it's fun to sit back and bask in your organization. Twelfth house Virgo sun can be so annoying because you work your ass off for everybody else and get no credit at all. All right, here we go, Libra. You ready? Can you see my little shaggy dog? He likes to dig in the carpet. Lucky, come say hi to everybody. Lucky, come out and say hi. Don't let them see the rebounder on the floor. Want to say hi? Oh, there he goes. Well, I tried. Okay. Back to our Libras, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. He's so funny. I have a little round ottoman kind of coffee table, and I have a little tray I put on it. And then when I use the computer, I flip the tray upside down and lift it a little. And the other day, he got up and laid. He has to lay on it whatever's new in his life. Okay, here we go. He's so Piscean too, I got to tell you. Literally, in the morning when we wake up, it's like he is in a dead sleep, and he'll just lay there and look at me. And then the minute I get the bag and like everything, and he sees that I've got my outfit on, he jumps up, and then his Aries moon is like, okay, let's go. I'm like, geez, thank you, DJ. I love you. I love you all. All right, Libra, here we go. Four of Pentacles, the Three of Wands, the Star, and the Death card. Okay, we'll have to do a little clarification on that Death card. All right, the Death of Confusion. You've been stuck, Libra. And this isn't just with money. You've been stuck somewhere in a material holding pattern of some kind. And I want to offer this because the Libra rising, I always think is interesting. My sister's a Libra rising, and I'm an Aries rising. We both have a Taurus moon. And so we are so much alike and so different, because when you're if you're a Libra rising, you literally are walking through the zodiac backwards. So here you are with this perspective of cooperation and peace, and yet you're being challenged to be individualistic and pioneering and brave in your relationships. So somewhere you've been materially stuck about something, and it may even have something to do with your housing, because I don't know why I noticed that cabin in the background. Then we see the Three of Wands, and it was inverted. You've not been able to get you've not been able to relax about your future in some way. And I wonder if that isn't just a bit of the, the South Node was just going through Libra. So there was a lot of being egoless to a process, egoless to many things, and allowing things to drift out of your control on some level. Because here's the Star. And in this particular deck, this character is still in a process of honoring and doing ritual, ceremony, prayer work. It's something is not complete. You can't see how this is going to play out yet, or how something is going to play out. And here's the Death card. Now, this is interesting in this deck because I see all those horses, and they just immediately I go to the 9th house of Jupiter, and this opportunity, because the thing above it feels almost like otherworldly, right? Like an alien ship is coming down. I feel like this Death card is transforming from being stuck going around in a circle of beliefs to raising myself up, because now I see the Piscean moon card coming up. And this howling, we've got the two types of the dogs. There could very well be, so Pisces is your sixth house. And we could look at it as a house of work. We could look at it a house of health, but I'm going to go mental health for you. And somewhere, if you've been stuck or feeling enslaved to feeling invisible, feeling not underappreciated, somewhere something is going to transform. I'm going to pull one more card. The Two of Wands. Interesting. There's a revision here of what you want. And again, there's something about something. It feels like whatever you've been stuck with in the material world, it's a belief system or it's a way of viewing something that has kept you tethered to that. Now, sometimes when we have family stuff, we say that the DNA overrides the actual dynamic of people being kind to one another. Some families members can have real, and if this has something to do with anybody who's so close to you, that there may be you having to look to the future and how you want that to be. Sometimes we have to keep people an arm's length to keep things healthy. That's all I'm saying. Sometimes, especially with the Libra moon, you'll want to love on somebody and you'll be, fostering their balance, but they're not fostering their own balance. And that is a challenge. Very, very much, Stephen. My midheaven is ruled by Saturn. So I was always going to be more successful when I got older. I wasn't meant to be successful. I was still learning and making my, having my traumas, and then I was going to transform those. That was my potentials. And I have Jupiter in Sagittarius at 2 degrees, and I have Saturn at 1 degree of Capricorn in the 9th house. I also discovered that when I looked at my sister and I on our synastry chart, that my nodal structure on her ascendant, I always thought it was so curious that my north node was on her ascendant. And I used to think, I went to the straight Libra partnership stuff. And then I realized just in this last go around, after 60 years of dancing this terrible dance, I think we would call it the paso doble because it feels so aggressive, that I'm trying to create peace with this woman. And she won't have it. She will not be at peace with me no matter what. She just can't do it. It's like she's got some inadvertent knee-jerk reaction. And sometimes the peace then becomes walking away from the war. Just saying. Okay. Scorpio, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. The 7 of Pentacles, something is being built, has been built. The 4 of Swords is a card of rest. The 2 of the High Priestess is here in the Angel's Advice. And then the 8 of Swords. Alrighty. We know who that was, right? You know who that was. Okay. Scorpio, most intuitive sign from this group, as I interpret things in the whole Zodiac. And as such, it can be very challenging for you because you also are, within your sign is housed the Shapley attractor thank you very much. Little grasshopper. Okay. 1 degree, maybe it's 2 degrees of Scorpio, 2 degrees is the Shapley attractor. It's got a pretty wide orb of 5 to 12 degrees, and any personal planets there or your ascendant, you're here to release false beliefs. Things that you hold dear that you think make you powerful and cool, but they're really bullshit. Feel the love, because it's time to assess what it is you've been creating and where you want to go. That's the 7 of Pentacles. Now we have this 4 of Swords, which infers rest, but also protection. You no longer need to protect yourself. You do have a sense of connection to a deeper part of yourself. But the challenge of the fixed sign of Scorpio is that until the validation of your pain, your trauma, your hurt, you will you won't acquiesce, and this is where you're getting in your own way, and this is where that stellium in Pisces supports you. It trines you, but you're going to have to be a little bit brave in saying to yourself, I'm perfectly right about being pissed off about this or holding this little bit of something, but am I going to let it get in the way of my future? That is the craziest part of this powerful Mars Pluto energy that Aries holds and Scorpio holds. It is really so much about being a powerful individual, and then how am I going to use that power? Because this is just you getting in your own way, and that's what fucking Pisces does, and not, I don't want to blame everyone who's a Pisces. It's what that landscape of Pisces represents. Feeling so invisible that I attach to something that makes me not feel the truth of my own power, or you're not recognizing what you've built because nobody's applauding you yet. I need to pull a clarification card. Sorry. Justice is coming. Okay, Scorpio, justice is coming. You just got to give it. Don't overpower the situation. Let the retrogrades be what they are. Okay. Let them literally give yourself rest and review. We're in the middle of these retrogrades are in the midst of an eclipse season. They're so important. Where's your self-worth? What are you thinking about? Do you believe in yourself? And do you need an audience to validate that somehow? I see this Four of Swords, and I see those little bears, and I feel like they're upside down. Shadow Zone City. Yeah, we are. We're definitely in the shadow zone. And I even think that we could consider Pluto a little bit in shadow. I didn't look up the dates, but Pluto's going to retrograde, and it was only going up to 3 degrees before it retrogrades. So it's got to be slowing down as well. So that's pretty significant. Okay. We won't even talk about Chiron, the wound of self that we've all been experiencing. Okay, on to our Sagittarius' rising moon, sun, and stelliums. And I want to thank you guys when you do donate. I enjoy receiving the bounty of that, but it is so much more helpful for my channel to grow. I've been promoting videos, which is great, and it moves up the subscribership, but not necessarily the viewership. And I think when you guys donate, somehow YouTube likes me better. So I appreciate you. And as I go on to my Sagittarius, I'm going to let you know that on Wednesday, I'm going to cut the live down to about an hour, maybe 90 minutes. I think it's just a little too long. I want to create a little more of an urgency to get your questions done and get it rolling. Okay, so that's Wednesday at 4 o'clock. I'm answering your personal questions. We'll do a spread. All you have to do is show up and put your question in the chat. We go in order. And those that donate go to the top of the class. And obviously, no offense, those that donate, the more they donate, the more they go to the top of the class. All right, Sagittarius, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. The Seven of Swords, it's about going your own way. The Four of Swords is about, again, taking a rest. We just saw the Four of Swords in the previous reading. The Six of Wands is victory. And then we have the Ace of Pentacles. All right. For my Sagittarius, something is in the midst of, I think, revealing itself for you. The Seven of Swords, if you look at this card, this gentleman is not taking aim yet, but he is going on his own path. He sort of is guarding himself a bit behind this tree, I think, because to me, as I read that for my Sagittarius, it's like, maybe we don't want to tell everybody what we're thinking right now, especially if the Venus Mercury retrograde is having you, revisit some historic things that have been up until now troublesome, because now we see the Four of Swords where, again, here's this bow and arrow. We have in the Seven, he's holding the arrow. He's about to take aim, but he hasn't done it. Can you see that? And here it's the same thing, but there's movement now. Instead of standing behind the tree, he's on the water. So emotionally, you need to connect to something that's on the water and to start to imagine your victory, to start to connect with it, to thank God for it, because there's a little bit about a time, there's a timing factor here. So something is about to be planted on the earth plane, but the timing hasn't happened. So it's as if the seed has sprouted, but it's still under the earth. And now it needs time to uncurl to come up through the density. And if there has been drama in any way, or you've experienced drama around a situation, Sagittarius, I think that what Spirit would like you to do is turn towards where you want to be versus addressing the drama. And that, they just told me, was not about addressing the other parties involved in the drama, but rather only addressing your personal way of being throughout the drama. So, you know, if you're purporting a drama-free zone, then you recognize when your ego is being checked, and then you look at it as an exciting God opportunity not to act out. All right, here we go. On to our Capricorns, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. You know, I've also noticed about me, I probably shouldn't tell you guys this, but nobody will be listening except you guys. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that. People will be listening. I think I'm going cross-eyed. One of my eyeballs feels like it's drifting inside. Oh, this growing old is so, I feel great on the inside. I actually feel very vital. I feel very agile. I feel like I'm 30 or 40 physically. But when I look at myself, some stuff is weird. Like, what's happening there? One side of my face is going. Absolutely small. If you're not your biggest champion, nobody will be your champion. And it's really how you're a champion versus, because aggressive championship is like insecurity in disguise. Calm, cool, collected championship of yourself is like, I don't need to fight with you. I got this. Your ass is grass and I'm the lawnmower. Okay, here we go. Capricorn, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. We have the death card inverted. We have the 4 of swords straight up. We have the 6 of wands inverted. And then we have the lovers. So your ruling planet, Capricorn, is part of this summit. He's kind of Saturn's kind of taking his time, getting into the room. But there is definitely a transformation. Now, the death card inverted is not that bad. And I feel like this is an epiphany you're having. This somewhere, somehow, boom, you can't stress anymore. You're being protected. You know the rules of engagement of the universe. You've been practicing it. And now you haven't quite hit the victory of it yet. Something's still transforming. Something's still moving, but the victory is being promised to you. But here it comes down to choices. Okay, again, this is the Lover's card. And this could infer inadvertently a shift in a relationship. But when we're talking to potentially, hundreds of people, thousands of people, this feels like a shift on the inside and a choice. And I want to offer this because when I look at the Lover's card, I can't help but see the Gemini energy. Then I see the Mercury energy. Then I see the retrograde as I'm coming onto the world axis. And I see the fact that Aries naturally squares Capricorn. So there's a tension between being a leader and how other people will think, if I'm a good person versus what I want for myself. And then I'm thinking to myself, but when you, Capricorn, who have been literally sitting there suffering because you've been either so afraid that other people will reject you if you don't work for them, do for them, build for them, and now you start to build for yourself. What if it's just the opposite? Let's see. And there's the 9 of Cups straight up. Make the choice to fulfill your wishes, and you're going to start to shift an energy. And that energy is not just the energy in this lifetime. Time is a spiral, right? And there's a theory that every lifetime you've ever lived is somewhere happening simultaneously. And when you make a conscious shift in this lifetime, you send a ripple effect through your own spiral of time. through your own soul. So I think that's what Pluto's been doing for you. I think that's why you chose to be a Capricorn rising at this lifetime. It's why you wanted to let go. And as Pluto moves into your second house, you start using your good skills, you start building, and money will start to show up. Ooh, I love it. All right. On to our final sign of today, which is our Aquariuses, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Okay. You know, lately when I see Aquarius, I just see like almost has a Jupiterian vibe to me where there's just, I need freedom, freedom, freedom. I need to experiment. I need to explore. I need to expand. And I think that's what Pluto's doing in your first house, is just embracing this part of yourself that up until now might have felt like, you know, the black sheep of, you know, this is the thing. When you're following the herd, and obviously it stinks, right? Because you got your nose up someone else's ass. But it's also so anti-Aquarius that it's what makes Aquarius like feel, if Aquarius is not doing their dreams, if they're not expanding, if they're not expressing their genius, and I don't care if their genius is being able to organize trash cans in a bin, I don't care what it is, they get anxious and they get like edgy and they feel panicky and they feel not right. And I feel like when that Aquarius energy harnesses into the idea that I'm an innovator, you know, I'm looking at how to do this better, not to do the same thing over and over again, then it becomes so much more fun to be an Aquarius. So as Pluto's moved into your first house, while it will affect you directly, it's going to affect your environment of what your first house potentials are, because it's going to change the landscape. It's like going from horse and buggy to a locomotive. And that's what's going to happen over the next 20 years. And in those 20 years, the children that are born now won't even recognize, or, you know, it'll be the olden days for them, you know, and so there's something really powerful going on. And I hope you embrace that Pluto energy and then stretch for the highest, most powerful parts of it. Let's see what's happening this week. We have the King of Wands. This is very Jupiterian, very expansive and traveling, looking to the future. That's very Aquarian. In the opportunity, the obstacle is the Empress straight up. We have the star, in which you rule. The star actually is inverted in the angel's advice. And then we have the Fool inverted. Okay, for my Aquarius, you're about to go on an adventure. And I really feel like this foundational part is to look and see, start telling Spirit where you want to go. I want to go to the land of flow. I want to go to the land of good communications. I want to go to the land of expansive beliefs that's inclusive, because something is gestating for you in a big way. This is Venus. She's straight up. She is patient here. She is comfortable. She understands the cycles and the seasons, because right now Aquarius might have a little lack of faith. And right now it's time to go into ceremony and to use this time to honor your desires, to literally speak of the journey you want to go on. Because right now there's still, with this Fool being a zero, upside down, I can't help but two things. I see Mars energy. I never see Uranus in the Fool. This guy is not blowing up anything. He's not rebellious. He is going on an adventure. He's pioneering. The fox, sly as a fox. There's something for you right now that is going to be divinely inspired for you. And I think that right now the King and the Empress are saying to Aquarius, speak of that which you want to experience. Speak of and call forth the flow of money, the opportunities that come endlessly for me to express my expansiveness, and then be patient. That's a little bit of the challenge with some of the signs, especially, because I think Aquarius is very complementary to Aries. There's obviously the warrior energy with Aquarius because they're rebellious and they overthrow old stagnant structures. So we are going through a time in humanity where old stagnant structures are being rewritten and there is disruption. But in no short order, there will be time for you to turn your journey straightforward. There's 3 out of 4 major arcana cards, and those depict the potential opportunities to walk through. But this is the attitude to have while you walk through it. Expansive, the owner of your own story, and relaxed about it. It's interesting too, for some reason, now I'm going to wrap it up, but I see the continent of Africa there. I think that's Africa. Maybe it's South America. But it comes across as Africa to me. I don't know why. Maybe it's not. But Africa to me would also speak to history. It's one of the oldest continents, or where civilization starts. So there's something about rewriting historic beliefs. And as those are rewritten, the opportunities will show up for you to walk through them. All right. I think that's it for this week. Big times we're having. Preparing for the solar eclipse that's coming. And the preparation looks like this. I want to grow. And I want to grow a garden full of beautiful flowers. And I understand the cycles of them. And here I'm in my reward phase. I'm ready to recognize that sometimes I talk too much about my arduous Saturnian phase. And now I'm going to start to rewrite that. I want you to start to stretch for the higher vibrations that each one of these planets offer as they come together in summit. So there we go. And check out those telepathy tapes, guys. I know I'm liking things going a little bit more expeditiously so we can all get on with actually the business of living our lives and being out there. So I want to thank you all. I love you all very much. And Small Wildflowers, you're just, I just really can't do this without you. Whenever I'm in the room before you get here, I'm like, is it going to be are we going to feel whole? I'm like Renee Zellweger. You complete me. So I hope you'll join me on Wednesday at 4:00 Pacific time, where we'll spend about an hour and we'll be focusing on your questions. And again, I want to thank, I believe it was DJ that was so generous. And if I'm thanking the wrong person, well, I'm thanking everybody. And I will see you next week. Or actually, I'll see you on Wednesday and Lucky's birthday. So it will be, and happy St. Patty's Day for all of you who celebrate. Hi, Natty B. Good to see you in the room. All right, I'm saying goodbye, good night. I love you all, and I will see you in a few days. Peace out. That was Pee Wee Herman, I think, that just popped out of my voice. Anyway, pray for my gray hair to come in already. That's the other thing I need. All right, love you all. Bye.